welcome back to the Synergy Sanctum. My name is Justin. Thank you so much for stopping by. Here at the Synergy Sanctum, we specialize in all things related to Magic the Gathering, with a specific focus on deck building. So I aim to show you very quick deck text that'll show you all of the cards in the deck and how they work together to ultimately achieve the goals of that deck. If you're not already, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate that. And we also have a sister channel now, so head on over to Commander Coliseum and check out their content as well. And for today's deck tech, we have Captain Ripley Vance, an EDH Budget build Spellslinger deck that is focused on casting a bunch of spells to boost Captain Ripley Vance, because when you cast your third spell each turn, then Captain is getting a counter and dealing damage equal to its power to any target. So this is a very budget-friendly build, and what I would argue a very fun mono-red Spellslinger deck. So a lot of people are doing this with like Quirk the Thumbless or Zada Hedron Grinder, and we have that deck tech as well with Zada. But Captain Ripley Vance provides a budget option to still get it done and still do crazy things. We are running 32 lands, and all of those are mountains to keep the budget low, and current TCG market value of this is $34 to $40. So super cheap and affordable, and super competitive and consistent as well. So, as we said, the goal here is to cast 3 spells a turn to give Captain Ripley Vance a counter and then have it deal damage equal to its power at any target. But that single counter off of a third spell is not good enough for us. So we are running a ton of mono red boosts in the deck, and each of these being instant or sorcery spells that are 3 mana or less, with the bulk of them being single red mana cantrips. So you can imagine here, like, let's say we just cast the top 3 across the top here. Titan Strength, Antagonize, and Brute Strength. That is ultimately given the captain plus 10 for the turn, plus the additional counter, which then immediately is doing 11 damage to any target. So super broken. You'll notice also that a lot of these are instants, so they can be done on other players' turns as well. And then there's additional value with some of these, like giving Scry, or giving things like Flashback with the Reckless Charge. Downhill Charge, a really solid one here, doing it based off of the amount of mountains you have, so that can get pretty scary as well. And then even more power for the captain. So we're running 2 enchantments that boost her based off of the mountains, right? So that gets kind of scary. And keep in mind that every single one of these cards is counting as a single spell. And then we're running things like Bulk Up and Unleash Fury, which is going to double her power. We're running Buccaneer's Bravado because she is a pirate, so she'll get the double strike to make herself bigger on the attacks. And then Leering Emblem is a good equipment in this deck because every time you play a spell, they're getting the additional value of +2 until end of turn, and we're going to be playing a lot of spells. And then we've got all of the draw cantrips as well. So we don't, our engine usually runs out pretty quickly when we're playing mono red. With cards like this, we are preventing that. So all of the cantrips that you'd expect, again, a lot of instants here as well. So you could be doing it on other turns, but giving benefits like haste or saying something can't be blocked or even giving trample. But the main benefit being the draw card. So we're going to be able to draw a card and then get additional spells or additional boosts. And then we're going to be having Captain either shoot her damage somewhere or attack somebody. So you got to be very strategic with how you play the spells because you've got that 3 spell count timer. So you want to make sure you're playing the ones that are bulking her early and then playing something like this as the last spell for the turn, because then you'll have the additional draw. And then keep in mind also that the first turn Ripley comes out, she counts as a spell. So if you are, only running, let's say 5 mana and you play her for 3, if you've got 2 cantrips, then you're still going to get that benefit off of the third spell. So then even more draw on the deck. Draw not necessarily like cantrip related or having to target anything, but big score and unexpected windfall for the 2 draw and the 2 treasures. Thrill of Possibility and Tormenting Voice to get you 2 draws in replace of discarding 1. We've got a ton of payoffs in the deck, payoffs specific to her power and payoffs specific to the spell slinging that's happening. So Aria of Flame, every time you're casting an instant or sorcery spell, it's getting a verse counter, and then you get to deal that damage to target player. So really, really broken here. And then the rest of these kind of benefiting off of Ripley having a very high power. So Chandra's Ignition and Show-Stopping Surprise are dealing damage to every other creature. Chandra's Ignition doing it to each opponent as well. Tails Slash is doing it to a creature. Fall of the Hammer to a creature. Gravitic Punch to a player, and then Soul's Fire to any target, most likely a player. So think about, you know, she's bulked at 11, and then you do something like this, it's going to do another 11 damage to something. Just really, really synergistic cards here for her. And then the Spellslinger. So these are all of the ones that are going to be adding damage or getting some kind of benefit off of all the spell slinging we're doing. So Stormkilled Artist and Young Pyromancer. Stormkilled making a treasure, Young Pyromancer making a friend. And then the rest of these all doing damage and having a variety of effects when that happens. So whether it's a single damage or having us untap to do even more single damage, or with Gutter Snipe and Fiery Inscription doing 2 damage a shot. And then we've got backup plans, so it's well and good if Captain Ripley does her thing, but we have cards in the deck that are very similar to her that are going to benefit from this overall strategy. So Levon is really sick because when you cast a non-creature spell, target creature's getting +X, where X is that spell's mana value. So for casting a bunch of spells, Levon's either doubling up on Ripley's power or boosting something else. Pyrehound, Spellgorger, Weird, Electrostatic Infantry, and Pyroceratops are all creatures. 3 of them with trample, but they benefit off of non-creatures by getting +1 counter. So they become big, and then you can use those spells where we're talking about the payoffs to throw their power at something as well. Really, really solid backup plans here. And then overall good stuff in the deck. So we're running a Soul Ring, we're running Runaway Steamkin, which will keep churning out with all of these cantrips we're playing. We've got a Braid, Lightning Bolt, and Chaos Warp for targeted removal. Sudden Breakthrough is giving a boost, but also giving a treasure. Mana Flare is doubling up our mountains. Arcane Bombardment and Mizzix's Mastery is giving us recursion off of all of this. And then we've got Mana Geyser and Blasphemous Act as well to do what, you know, everyone knows that they do. And with that, our show has come to an end. Thank you so much for watching our video. And if you enjoyed that video, feel free to share it out with any friends who might find value in it as well. Thank you so much for stopping by. We hope to see you again soon. Have a good one.